Hey everyone, it's Andrew. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a video doing an unboxing, review, and initial setup or put together of the Suvivityse, that's Suvivityse balcony furniture set. This is going to be a 5-piece furniture set that you can currently get on Amazon for about $140. It's going to encompass 2 chairs, 2 footrests, and a side table. I recently purchased this because I needed one for my balcony at my new apartment. This is going to be the beige and brown color, but they also have blue and brown, gray, and then khaki and brown. All of them priced about the same at $140. Initially, I was going to go with a different set that was a little bit more expensive, around like $170. However, that had shipping for about like $60 more at a discounted price, but then when it was free shipping, it was like $260, so I didn't go with that. The one thing is, the reason why it's open already is because on the box here, it actually said blue and gray. So I noticed that initially, didn't open it. Actually went to the UPS store to return it, printed out a shipping label, or was gonna print out a shipping label. And then the people at UPS said that I would have to pay for the shipping, which for shipping it to California would be $245. So I actually reached out to the company or the Amazon seller. They recommended opening the package, looking inside, looking at the shipping contents, and then sending them photos of all that to resolve it. But then when I actually opened it, it ended up being the beige and brown. So it freaked me out for a moment because it's like a 65-pound package and I didn't know what to do with it, but I ended up with the right color. It just was a little bit of a hassle because I put this in my car and had to bring it there. But either way, what we'll do is we'll open this up, show you what comes in the packaging, and then we'll walk through step by step how to put it together. All right, so the box was pretty cramped, and this was all in that tiny box, or relatively small box. But it has all the components that I need. The only thing that I saw for a couple issues is that check out all the legs and the weaving on this, because a couple areas it's sticking out. These I can fix either with tape or getting the weave fixed, but if you notice a drastic issue, you might want to reach out to the company before putting anything together, just because it'll be difficult. But as far as this, it's going to basically encompass the side table. These are the arms for the chair. There's going to be part for the footrest, and then there's going to be the cushions. They do have an instruction manual here with all the hardware. And so what we'll do is we'll start walking through this step by step so you can follow along and put it together, and hopefully this will save you some time and any hassle trying to do this on your own. Okay, so before we get started on this, I did want to show you the hardware. So there's going to be washers here, a hex wrench. There's a wrench in here. There's a couple nuts and different size bolts. Okay, so for step 1, you're gonna need the sides or armrests, which are B and A, and then you're gonna need C, and you're gonna use a nut, which is, a bolt, which is T, as well as a washer, which is U, and the Allen wrench to tighten this. The Allen wrench, I noticed that they gave me, because I screwed up doing this, I'll explain why, didn't work well for this, so I ended up just grabbing a different one that I have. But what you're going to do is basically line this up so that the armrest is pointing forwards. So B is on the left, A is on the right, and the curve is pointing forwards, okay? And then just line it up like this because it's easier to lay flat. And then you're going to need to grab C. When I first did this, it's subtle, but on the edges of C, there's bolts on the side that allow you to hook this in to here. There's going to be a hole here, and you attach it that way. But you do have to notice that there's actually holes on the bottom as well. And so when I first did this, I had it upside down where the holes are pointing upwards. So to avoid that, that's why I'm redoing this recording. Just flip it down, make sure the holes or the area where it's not covered is facing down, and that ensures that you don't kind of mess it up like I did and have to redo it. But once you do that, basically take a bolt with the washer, and you're just going to screw it into the side piece here. And pretty tight. What you want to do is just flip this over, make sure it doesn't get misaligned. You might need 2 people for this just to hold it, depending on whether you can do this on your own or not. But then you take the other thing, or bolt, and do the exact same thing on the other side. Once you have it pretty tight, what I'd recommend is just stand it upright like this, make sure the alignment's good, and then tighten each of these, which I did. Then do the exact same step for the other chair. And step 2 is right here, where you're gonna basically flip it over and you're gonna install the seated part. So what's gonna happen is on the back side towards the back, you're gonna use the same bolt setup that you have to go into the back of the bottom of the backrest, which is the holes that I highlighted. And then on the side, what you're gonna do is put 2 bolts on each side with a nut. There's gonna be 4 separate nuts, so you'll have a total of 8, and you do each for each chair. Okay, so I don't know if I'm just tired of building stuff because I've been doing it a lot, but this build is kind of frustrating and it's not as intuitive, so we're gonna go with this step by step, and I'm gonna look at the instructions more. But basically, I laid this on the back here. You're gonna have D, which has a like L-shaped part on the front where your legs rest when you're sitting in the chair. So you want that pointing upwards in line with the curve. And then there's gonna be 6 separate holes. There's gonna be 1, 2, 3, and 4, which you're gonna need nuts, and you're actually going to need a longer bolt, which is W in the set. Don't try to use T because it's too short. That's where I screwed up. And then there's gonna be 2 bolts here on the back. And so I did try to start this by actually just screwing into the back. However, it was kind of cumbersome and annoying. And then I tried to put T into here and it's too short. So the easiest way to do this is grab the right bolt, which is W, all right? Get it in here and then actually line it up in the hole and get it all the way in the hole, and then just take one of the nuts and secure it on, all right? So that you have it sitting flush as far as getting it on. And then get it kind of hand tight so it can hold this in place for you, so you don't need an extra hand. And so now it's more held there. Then what I would recommend is lining up the other side, putting the W in, okay? Lining it up here, all right? And make sure you have enough slack, and then putting the other nut on, or nut on the back side of this. And it's like barely long enough. It's kind of subtle, where it's not, I wish it was like a little bit further just so it can stay on. But that one actually went on. So now it's a little bit better aligned. And then we're gonna take another one, and then we're gonna try to line it up here. And hopefully it works a little bit better than what we just experienced. There, so that one's on. And then lastly, this one. Okay. Hopefully I don't strip it later on. Okay, so that's the first step. So now as far as tightening these, what you're gonna need is the wrench included, which is gonna go on the nut side, and you just hold it in place so it doesn't spin. All right, you don't need anything special. And then you're gonna use the Allen wrench on the other side to tighten this. Okay, so the next step, what you're gonna do is you're gonna use a T-bolt with a washer and screw it into the back. I forgot to turn the microphone back on. But this one here was pretty difficult to screw in. I had to like really squeeze it in to press it down and get it gripping in, but it finally did that, and they're all tight. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are all tight. Now you have to do the other chair. Okay, so even though that took way longer than I wanted it to for all of like 8 bolts, the chairs are complete as far as putting this part together. So now we can move on to the next step. Okay, so the next step is going to be putting together the coffee table. So you'll need the 2 pieces of J, which are the ones with the leg and the bracket on the top. And then you're gonna need I, which is one of the squares. There's also K, but I has this black backing, plus it's labeled. As far as this step, what you're gonna do is you're going to need 4 S bolts. So with washers, which are gonna go here on the top where the bracket is, and then you're gonna need 2 more S bolts on the back, all right? And then in the middle one here, you're gonna need T-bolts. When you look at this, if you look up close, there's gonna be 1, 2, 3. You want that lined up to where J is, okay? You don't want it flipped this way. I don't think you can attach it that way, but just make sure you flip it the right way, all right? And then you're gonna line this up, which will line up with where the holes are, and you should be able to start it. All right, and hopefully this is easier because it's less of a tight space as compared to the chairs. All right, so that's what it's gonna look like. You're gonna do the other side and then you're gonna tighten all these bolts. Okay, so I'm getting the impression that this is kind of a situation of you kind of get what you pay for as far as manufacturing and stuff. Because this side was totally smooth, easy to do, no trouble at all. But this side, the holes wouldn't line up, the bolts wouldn't line up. I was able to get this one and this one fine. But on this back one, the angle for it was like this angle, so there was no way to get it in. And so I actually stripped this and it's not set all the way down. Fortunately, with the other bolts, it's sturdy enough, but just keep that in mind when you think about purchasing this product. Okay, next up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab piece K. Okay, K is gonna have 2 holes on this side, 2 holes on this side. There's no holes on this side. And what you wanna do is line it up so the holes are facing the sides. Then you're gonna need T and U, so T plus the washer, and you're going to insert this into the side here and try to get it hand tight. Okay, so if you're struggling with the same thing I'm having as far as getting this on, the easiest way to do it is actually to push down really hard and get it started that way. But even with that, it's like barely getting on. So it's just super frustrating from that standpoint, but those two are finally on. So what I would recommend doing is just tightening this so you have it all the way on so it doesn't fall apart. All right, so I flipped it over and started on the other side. What I found was once you're able to start one side, just whichever bolt it is, just get that tight because that naturally squeezes these two pieces together and it makes the other bolt easier. So any luck you have as far as getting these tight, just tighten one of them all the way, which traditionally you don't want to do because it limits your range of motion on other planes. But I feel like they manufactured this with measurements without like the wicker or whatever you call it on it. And so these bolts are like too short because when you have the wicker on, it gives it additional like 1 to 3 millimeters or so. That limits the space you have to get it on. So just get one tight, and then this one I already had pretty much on, but if you push down it should grip it, so once it grips it then you can tighten it all the way. Okay, so that's all done. So this is what it looks like when it's done. Pretty decently sturdy. It's a little bit wobbly, and then just keep in mind that the brackets on the top are really thin. So don't put too much weight on this. Really, it's just to have a side table to go with the chairs. Okay, so next up, you're gonna set up the footrests. So F is gonna be this piece that is shaped like this and has partially one leg on. And then E is gonna be this piece. A couple things I did notice with this is that this piece is already unwrapping. So I'll fix that in some way after I'm done. Additionally, on this over here, it's unwrapping a little bit too, so there's some quality issues here as far as the build and construction. So keep that in mind. But as far as putting this together, there's going to be 2 bolts on this side, 1, 2, and virtually you're going to replicate the same thing. All right, so that's what it looks like after that step. Okay, there is kind of a lip here. Okay, so I did both of them. This one was fine. The other one, again, I had a really hard time getting all the pieces in. Which is just annoying me at this point. But now we're on to the last step. You're going to need T and U bolts. Essentially, there's going to be 4 side pieces. They're supposed to be labeled G and H. This one's labeled H. The rest of them don't have a label. How you can tell or delineate these is there's going to be 1 hole here, 1 hole on the other end, and then 1 hole on one of these sides that isn't covered. And what you want to do is make sure that the hole that is not covered is pointing down towards this bolt. So don't have it upright like this because you have to access that bolt. So you want it to point this way, all right? And then you have to kind of slide it in here. Okay, and so the easiest way to get everything lined up was to stand it on its edge like this, and then just get everything lined up like that, and then I was able to start all 3 bolts. So if you're struggling with it, line it up like this. Okay, so that's what it looks like after you do that. I did find that this middle bolt, once I did the other ones, was super hard to get on as well. Okay, so that's what it looks like when you're done, okay? And then that's all you have to do for that step, and then you do the same thing for the other one. Okay, so that's what these two look like after you're done with that. So now we're all set for setting it up. So I'll line up the chairs so you can see what it looks like, and then we'll take the cushions out of the packaging and set those up. Okay, so this is what the chairs look like after you have them fully put together. To be honest, they look a lot better when you actually put them together. But it's just, the whole process was pretty frustrating considering the fact that really you're just putting a bunch of screws in. So I felt like the attention to detail as far as putting it together and getting everything lined up was just not there, and kind of frustrating for this. As far as sitting in this, it'll support you, no issues there. This area here acts as a footrest, so you can pull it out and put your feet up. And that's the whole point of this, is that you can have the footrest directly underneath here. I previously had a very similar setup from Walmart, which was 5-6 years ago, that I probably got it for about 180 bucks, and I don't remember it being as frustrating. I think the key was a lot of the metal, the pieces that connected were just metal, not within the wicker or rattan or whatever you call it. Okay, so there's going to be several types of cushions that they have. They're going to have these that are pillowy, then these which are going to have drawstrings on it, and then there's going to be another set that do not have drawstrings on it. The two that are like this are virtually identical other than the drawstrings. So I think I'm actually going to put the drawstrings on the bottom because this can actually slide through, I believe, somewhere over here, or it should be able to, on one of these, and be able to sit flush so that it doesn't slide all over the place, which makes more sense for the cushion here. But that's how you set it up. And then the nice thing about these cushions is, actually, I'm pretty impressed with the cushions. As far as the material, it's a like weathery, more durable looking material. The beige is really nice. It has like a slightly striped pattern with a herringbone on it, but very nice color, probably better than the pictures online. So I'm really happy with that aspect of things. As far as the color combination, the beige and the brown, it's a really nice combination. And the pillow itself is very similar as far as that. But overall, let's just sit in it, test it out. So it's definitely decently comfortable, serves the purpose for an outdoor chair. We'll test out the footrest as well. And so with pulling it out, as you can see, it gets stuck, where I think that's where the drawstring comes in, so we'll have to figure out how to do that. But you can rest your feet forwards, pull this out, line it up however you want. But as you can see, this pillow does move a lot. The one I previously had actually like an indentation, so it would sit like in there and wouldn't move. So I think you definitely need the drawstring on here, but I think you could just put it through the wicker, yeah, like this. And so we'll put it through one of the wicker seams, and let's see if that helps with this. And so, yeah, there you go. So with the drawstring there, it doesn't move as much. So that's the rationale there. But overall, I'll say for $143, this is probably worth the price as far as what you get for the price. However, the building and the putting together aspect of it, it was very frustrating, very annoying from that standpoint, where if you can find something easier and it's comparably priced, then you can go with it. However, the one that I was looking at was, I think it was like $199 discounted, but then it was a $60 shipping fee, which came out to $250. And then it was, if you got free shipping, it was $260. And so with this, there's a $120 price difference. And so with the $120 price difference, it's worth 2 hours of my time or longer to put it together. And there's no guarantee that putting something like that together is easier. It's probably very similar or comparable. So just when you're getting this, if you're planning on getting it, just anticipate that it's going to be a little bit frustrating and you have to put it together, but it does serve the purpose as far as balcony furniture. You've got this like table that comes with it. I like the color scheme. The other colors are a navy blue with the brown, and I think it's gray with the brown, and then they have a gray version with gray cushions. The reason why I went with the beige is with the sun and the summer weather, it's going to be cooler with this, and it's less likely to fade if it does fade. And if it does fade, it's going to be less noticeable. But the nice thing about these cushions too is all of them have zippers, so if you have messiness or anything like that, you can just take this off, wash it if you really want to, or clean it however you want. So that's all I have for this video. Hopefully it was helpful as far as construction, giving feedback as far as if you're wanting to purchase this. If you have questions, comments about putting it together, let me know. I'd be happy to help, and have a great day.